D, you're live.
Oh, I'm live. Hey, what's up, everybody?
I'll take myself off and then you can bring me back in, but you're live.
Welcome to the Canes Insight Daily Podcast, powered by Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. I am live here in Hawthorne, Florida. Not really paying attention like I should, getting other stuff ready for the show. So appreciate everybody joining us here live on a Monday. The first Monday of the offseason, right? So tough loss to Iowa State. We did the post game with Pete. It was tough for a lot of reasons. They did a very long post on canesinsight.com, 7 million posts and counting. Sign up for free, where I talk about, my extended thoughts. I'll go over some of them here, but we're on to the offseason. Miami needs a quarterback. Miami needs a tight end. Miami needs a lot of stuff. Miami needs defensive backs. There's a lot of work to do for the Miami Hurricanes, and we'll get into all of that here on the Canes Insight Daily Podcast. First, I want to talk about some folks who don't need a lot of work. That is Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. If you or someone you care about has been injured in an accident, you could be entitled to significant compensation. Dial 1-800-747-FREE, 1-800-747-3733. Take back control of your life with Anajar and Levine. All right, Pete, hop in again.
D, man, I don't know if that was a skit. You were trying to mimic our defense having trouble getting lined up, but I'm glad that I'm glad we got you now.
No, glad to be on, man. You got chats already bumping, man. Everybody's fired up. Look, so Pete, I sent you the article here to put up here from Canes Insight. Again, a lot of you guys watch the show. You don't go to the website. Some of you guys are finding the show from the website. That's canesinsight.com. Free posts, free message board, free website, ton of articles. I did one here on the game, Iowa State. I called it the same finish because unfortunately this was the same finish to the season we've been used to, blowing it in November and then bowl losses in December. Certain things were certainly different. We were relevant all year. The offense was unbelievable to watch. Cam Ward, a lot of things were different and fun. Me personally, as a father with kids, I know I did a tweet about it. Some others have gone through similar, where my kids learned to love college football this year because they got to watch Cam Ward or Restrepo and all those guys. So it was a more positive season for some of us, but at the end of the day, the finish was unfortunately very familiar. A lot of issues to get through. Of course, the main topic is going to be defense and backup quarterback here. Love Cam Ward. Don't fault him one bit for any of it. He gave us 31 points and we couldn't do anything with it. So, Cam Ward, never going to get any criticism on this show for him, but certainly with the backup quarterback situation and the inability to throw, we averaged 1.9 yards per attempt in the second half with Emory. That is unbelievably low, and the defense has been terrible all year and finished the way it did. So a lot of questions, a lot to get to, Pete. People want news, so I'll give them the latest I have. I don't know if Pete, you had thoughts after you were up here with me and drove down. How you taking this loss here after some time to reflect?
I mean, really, I got to be honest, not as hard as a lot of people are. I in terms of the game itself, looking forward, I'm concerned, right? That to me, it's two different things. The game itself, like once Cam Ward goes out, it's not the same game, right? Should you be able to finish that game off? You should, because the defense was what it was, though. But like looking towards the future, I'm concerned. At certain spots, I'm not as kind of like down on Mario as I think a lot in the fan base are, right? And some people are going to disagree with that. I still believe in the way that he's built this thing. There's cracks in it without a doubt, but my thing is he knows that, and I don't think he's going to go without changes. Every year where drastic changes or drastic additions have been needed, it seems like he's made those changes. It hasn't all come together at once, right? And that's very unfortunate. You had a great opportunity for that to be the case this year with one of the best offenses ever. So I'm not going around that, but I do have faith that there will be some extreme, things that are changed here.
100%. And let's get to some of that, because that's what a lot of the questions are. So first, a lot of questions here about, defensive coordinator, defensive staff, all of that stuff. And look, here's what I'll say, and I've been saying it consistently. Though, look, a lot of stuff I'm going to say about the game, about what's happening now, is stuff that if you've been listening to this show, I've been talking about every show for the past pretty much since Syracuse. So first of all, on defensive staff, I'm not in a position out here to call for people's firing. So it's just not what I'm in a position to do or what I'm going to do here. That's not my role here. Comment section, you guys can call for it all day. KidsInsight.com, 7 million posts and counting. You can get to 8 million calling for that. I'm just not in a position to do that. Now, at the same time, I'm seeing the same thing everybody else is seeing, which is that the defense, especially live, you could tell, completely frantic pre-snap, no communication, veteran players, 4th, 5th, 6th-year players not knowing what to do, no identity, inconsistent tackling, not running to the ball. It's untenable. I mean, you had one of the worst defenses in the country, which wasted the best offense in the country and one of the best offenses of the decade. So, it is what it is. Everybody saw it. And my prediction is that there will be significant staff changes on the defensive side of the ball and just changes in general on the defensive side of the ball. That's my prediction. We'll see if it happens. I've seen nothing to change that belief. So that's on that side of the ball. The other thing is a lot of comments about Emory. Got to be straight. Emory looked terrible. Other people talking about Emory. Scuba Steve's mentioning, why was there such a change in play calling once Emory came in? There's no way they could be comfortable with him going into next season. I mean, look, guys, you've heard me on the show for a month. What do I say every time? Miami needs a portal quarterback, and I expect them to get one because the need is so profound. That's what I've been saying here. Andrew's saying, we should have gotten Mendoza, and Emory's not in Mendoza's league. I do agree that we should have gotten Mendoza, but at the same time, you got to see how this process plays out. And what quarterback we end up in with. So the Cam Ward situation was up and down last year, and at times it looked bleak. And ended up with Cam Ward, best player in the country. So got to let this process play out. Mendoza was a bird in hand, and I thought, I came on the show and said it multiple times. I thought he represented a significant material upgrade over what we had in the room. Obviously, Cam Ward not included. So he's gone. And others have gone off the board. I think some names will come here on the board, so we'll see where it goes. Louis Stugadillo say, love hearing you on propaganda. Appreciate your support on the show. And again, listen, people were always like, when I was talking about all these other quarterbacks, they're like, listen, you're spreading propaganda. I'm like, look, if I was spreading propaganda, I'd be telling you that I believed in what we had. And I did not tell you that because of what you saw.
But at the same time, we're not going to come out here and just trash these kids, right? Everyone saw what they saw.
Yeah, no. And look, Emory's a great kid. He played a bad game. He can play better in the future. Now, do I believe that Miami can go into this next season with Emory Williams as a starting quarterback? I do not believe that unless you bring in someone great and he just beats him out and elevates his game. But I wasn't surprised by what I saw in the Pop-Tart Bowl. And nothing surprised me. The fact that we ran for 300 yards did not surprise me because we've had one of the best running games in the country all year. Truly one of the best, if not the best besides Notre Dame as far as the major schools, the Power 4 schools. I'd say we were probably second in Notre Dame running the football when you look at the efficiency and the just dominance of the running game. So that was a surprise. Cam Ward target practice in the first half was not a surprise. Our defense being terrible was not a surprise because it's been like that all year. And then Emory struggling, it was not a surprise. I just think the lack of athleticism with Emory is what's holding him back. He has height, he has size, he knows what to do with the football. He can throw accurately, but I just think the fluidity and just overall coordination, everything looks too hard. Nothing is fluid and easy. So I think that was hurting Emory throwing the ball. And of course, he didn't have receivers there. He didn't have all his receivers there, I should say. Shamar Kirk dropped a touchdown that probably would have made the difference in the game, and we'd had a whole different narrative. But, I think there were weaknesses that were exposed, and we need to upgrade that room.
Go ahead.
Andrew, appreciate you. You said Marlon Dawson will get a quarterback. Got to be patient. I think he'll get somebody. I do. And I think that quarterback's going to be in a very good situation given that, it's hard to hand off the ball and get 300 yards on the ground, against a team that's ranked. I know their rush defense wasn't great, but man, it's hard to lose when you run for 300 yards. That's the disappointing thing.
Saw a comment here. I was trying to pull up here. Well, and there's a lot of talk about Gronowski.
So let's talk.
From
Let's
South Dakota State. So I think we should talk about him.
Let's switch to Gronowski. So I had not talked to anybody since Gronowski entered the portal because usually after a loss, I like to let things sit for a bit before kind of bothering people with questions and everything else. So we'll see where that goes. He entered this transfer portal. What I did do is I talked to different people about Gronowski, as did P. We actually talked to different people. P talked to people in the college. I talked to people on the NFL side, and both non-UM sources. And the word we got on Gronowski was that this guy's a legit NFL prospect. He has draftable grades now, right? So, when you talk about South Dakota State, really what you're talking about is a guy that's going to go to the pros or go to a high P4 school, most likely. There's also a chance he goes to Washington State. That's where his coach went. But, we're not talking about – this is a little different than a Poffenbarger situation where Poffenbarger had no option to go pro, and was not commanding huge NIL money like Gronowski will. Gronowski's 230 plus, 6'2 plus, 10-inch hands, Senior Bowl – potential invitee according to the head of the Senior Bowl. This guy's got a big arm. The mechanics are a little ugly, but the ball does come out with some velocity, and he can run between the tackles. My view, I studied him last night, is that this is like a Will Howard type player who has arm, can throw, is not going to be like a Cam Ward type passer. No one is, but can run between the tackles if you need him to as well. So. I don't know if Miami's interested here. I really don't, because again, I haven't talked to anybody since he entered the portal because of the loss the loss on the 28th. So I'm letting people breathe. But, me talking, I think this is certainly a guy that's interesting to put behind our offensive line with our running game as a NFL prospect that would have been drafted and still might be drafted this year.
And look, the obvious comments coming in that he didn't play the best competition, the Poffenbarger project didn't exactly work this year. Not that you needed him much because of Ward, but I think from what we saw, it didn't look like he would have been the guy here at Miami. I think you're looking at a physically a different player here.
100%. And one thing that I've learned about the modern era of college football, I say modern like now, right now, this era of college football is experience at quarterback, both for college and the pros. I've used the Jaden Daniels and Bo Nix examples a million times. Those guys had more experience than almost anybody ever in college, right? Because they started since their freshman years, and through COVID, they go to the pros and immediately are top quarterbacks in the NFL. I mean, big time guys now, day one, NFL. Guys with less experience, your Trubisky's of the world, your Trey Lances of the world have struggled making that jump to the NFL because they had less experience in college. Now, focusing on the college game, which obviously we're Miami Hurricane fans, we care about college wins. Cam Ward, huge experience before he got into the Hurricanes, including FCS experience. He played at Washington State too, but he had FCS experience, came to Miami ready to play. Jador Sanders, same thing. And he's got a ton of experience. Dylan Gabriel, ton of experience. These are the best quarterbacks in the country. So I think experience matters. And this is a guy with over 40 wins, just hot, FCS, I don't care. Making decisions, going against college defenses, having to win games, playing in front of big crowds, and they do play in front of real crowds there. Not the big house, but they're full houses. That to me is significant. And to get a guy with experience and with NFL physical tools who's ready to compete, I think would be worth pursuing. I don't know if that's where we're going to go, but I certainly think that would be a smart move.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think you have limited options. Obviously, you're looking at guys who aren't in the portal potentially as the only other options out there. So if he's what you got, then you got to build around it. But it is what it is.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think that would be. You got to kick the tires, man. Big schools are going to kick the tires. The teams looking for portal quarterbacks is narrowed, right? Because Michigan took a guy. They're going to probably bridge and then give it to Underwood at some point this season.
Notre Dame said that they're not gonna go after one,
right? So,
which is interesting because they'll have a first time starter there against Miami early in the season,
right? Ohio State's probably going to hand it off to Julian Sane. If they don't, then Sane becomes available probably. So, USC, I don't know what's happening there. Do they roll with Mayava? Do they have Houston Longstreet coming in? Do they seek to add a portal guy? That's an interesting situation to watch. The SEC is pretty much full. I think Ole Miss is going to roll with Austin Simmons, who looks really good as a young quarterback. Georgia, what happens there with Gunnar Stockton? That's one to keep an eye on. So, there's not that many teams that are slam dunk portal teams at quarterback. Does Oregon go with Ante Moore? Maybe one of those teams says we like a portal guy better than our young quarterback. But I think Miami is burning bright as a team that got Cam Ward to the top 10 from the day 4. There's Stephen Aveos. Appreciate your support. Those are the kind of schools I laid out. That Penn State's not going to be in the quarterback market.
Ohio State could be.
Ohio State we mentioned. North Carolina is one, right? Because of the Bill Belichick factor in the NIL. I heard there were big players from Mendoza as far as financially and material. But here's the thing. Those teams don't have the offensive line that Miami has. So, I don't know if that's going to be a fit, for a guy that needs to improve his stock.
Manzano asking why people hold it against Gronowski that he plays in the FCS, even though he's won multiple championships. Look, I think it's a fair thing to kind of be uneasy about because it is such a jump in competition. But at the same time, I can understand the concerns. It's a completely different level of speed of the game, different athlete that you're playing against. And also you see the Poff situation. And again, when he did have his moments, it did look like the speed of the game was a bit much for him. Again, wasn't a whole lot of reps. And D, I know in practice we've heard solid things about him, but I think that's where the uneasiness kind of comes in and why people would be holding against him.
Yeah, I think that's the question. But again, if you have reps, that matters more so than practice reps. Game reps matter. I don't care. In other words, game reps against FCS is more important than practice reps in Power 4. So T-Love saying, go ahead.
No, T-Love said that he doesn't see a separation from Gronowski and Emery in terms of arm strength, but that he does follow it up saying he is a better athlete though. Yes, much better athlete. And like with Emery, it's the thing to me about Emery that was concerning the other day. Again, first live action in a while, but like there's a difference between being a good athlete and just getting the ball out quick and being a quick decision maker, being a distributor, being a point guard out there, which is what at his best he hypothetically could be, and you could win games with him. But that's not what we saw, and that's not so. Like if you're not a good athlete and you aren't getting the ball out quick as a decision maker, then that's an issue. From what the person that I talked to who has watched a lot of him at the college level, and I trust his opinion, he's a guy who gets it to the playmakers, right? Is the arm strength great? No. Is the offense going to look exactly like it looked this year in terms of the play calling? It would definitely have to be a little bit different with his skill set. But listen, I'm not trying to talk anyone into believing that this is the guy, right? But I'm also trying to like say why it could be an interesting option if you were Miami, and he is different than Emery in that respect.
Yeah, and look, not all FCS quarterbacks are created equal. Talk about the comments about Poff. Cam Ward was an FCS quarterback. Now, we got him after he'd already gone to Washington State, but Cam Ward started in the FCS, so he was an FCS quarterback at some time. I think the big difference between a Cam Ward, a Poff, and Big Mark over here. Good to meet you there, Muhammad. Appreciate you guys. Yeah, Lex, the man. Yeah, you. Yeah, oh, man. Yeah, that's right. You were sitting right in front of us, man. It was good talking to you guys. So the difference between Cam, Big Mark, and Poffenbarger is that the Cam and Mark have NFL interest. Poffenbarger really didn't have that. So I think that tells you about the tool set they're working with. I don't agree that Emery's arm is the same as Gronowski. I think Gronowski's got a better arm and definitely more athleticism and just more, production.
The Matthew Sluka name is interesting too, D, because he still doesn't have a home.
Yeah, I wouldn't, you could do better than that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go in that direction. I mean, again, to me, you need to do better than Emery. Or sorry, you definitely need to do better than Emery, but I'd hope you do better than Mendoza, because to me, Mendoza was the logical guy to get. And I think would have given us a well above average ACC quarterback at a minimum with upside for more. So, we'll see. You also have Luke Nickel coming in. I think with Luke Nickel, he's your number 2 quarterback this year. That's how I see Luke Nickel. I said that when he signed. I think he will be the number 2 quarterback this year. If you don't bring in a portal quarterback, which I think you will, I do think Luke Nickel will be your starting quarterback as a true freshman. That'd be my prediction. But I don't think it'll come to that, because I think you'll bring in a guy from the portal. But after watching Luke Nickel in the playoffs, I think he could definitely be a big time quarterback for us, and is the best quarterback we signed of the Cristobal era, at least coming in.
Who jumping in the portal that's better than Mendoza, Quinn, Nico?
We'll see. We'll have to see how it goes. I expect more names to jump, and we'll see. I know Miami is monitoring that aggressively. Real quick, want to get to the Beacon Adjusters player of the game. It was a tough game, obviously, but you did have some bright spots. To me, JoJo Trader, with that big catch for the touchdown, also had a beautiful outbreaking route where he had about 10 yards of separation. Smooth route runner. Everything you saw in high school, you saw in this game. He's been injured this year, and of course, he's playing behind 4 veterans, so I'm sure it hurt him to watch other guys in his class. Of course, Jeremiah Smith, Wesco, Moore from Clemson, Wingo, Cam Coleman, of course, Ryan Williams, guys like that playing. They were ranked in the top 100 alongside him. He was a top 100 player. So he saw those guys producing. I'm sure it bothered him, and it was great to see him get action and show that he is ranked up there with those guys for a reason. I think the key with him is just improving his body. I think as his body improves, and that's just eating and being in this program, he's going to see substantial gains, and his route running is going to be a major strength because he's super quick and smooth. It's just a naturally talented profile as a route runner. So, I was really excited to see JoJo Trader.
I'm going Damian Martinez, man, because of his performance. 14 carries, was a 179 and that touchdown. And for a couple reasons. D1, because he finished out the season, right? And I would expect him to go to the next level. He's finishing out the season. Didn't have to play in that game. It's not that he didn't have to play in that game, right? Everyone would want to, but we saw other guys sit out. So he plays at the position he plays, at the style that he plays, and goes over 1,000 yards in the process, and was a guy that I think Miami fans grew to really, really enjoy watching him play as the year went on. I think at the beginning of the year, they were maybe expecting something a little bit more. I think that the rotations were getting figured out, and obviously the passing attack was so dominant at times this season. But I think that he quieted a lot of people in the process, because I didn't hear many Canes fans complaining that he was getting too many touches by the end of the year.
No, that's why you got trust track record, and the guy's just unbelievable player. I think NFL for him, he you look at Gus Edwards making $30 million plus in the league. I think he's better than Gus Edwards. So to me, that would be the way for him to go. Just use your carries in the pros. Even if you don't get drafted as high as you think you should, because it's a loaded running back class. I think that's where he belongs, and I would like him in the NFL. I think on the right team, like a Ravens, he fits like a glove, or also the Chargers, right? Where the 2 Gus Edwards teams, I think, are both great fits for what he does well, because I do think he is a better player than Gus Edwards, who's turned out to be a really good pro with over $30 million in earnings at that level. So real quick on Beacon Adjusters, if your property's been affected by Hurricane Helene, Hurricane Milton, any other storm, across the country. You could be in Florida, California, Texas, doesn't matter. Beacon Adjustors Group is here to help. With years of experience handling storm-related damage, we work tirelessly to ensure you get the compensation you deserve. From assessment to settlement, our team of trusted experts will guide you every step of the way. Don't face the aftermath alone. Let Beacon Adjustors Group restore your peace of mind. Call us today. Another name that entered the portal we should talk about here before we sign off, Alex Bowman out of Tulane. This is a highly productive tight end. He is the number 2 tight end in the portal, been really great in the red zone, caught a ton of touchdowns. He's going to visit right after the dead period lifts here on January 2nd. Just looking at some of the stats here, he played most of his snaps in line, about 444 of his 600 snaps in line. So he wasn't flexed out as much. From talking to people, I know PFF didn't grade his blocking that high. I know people that follow Tulane very closely. They thought he was actually a pretty good blocker. 6'5", 245, 13 touchdowns over his career. So he's very, very good in the red zone. 7 touchdown passes in 2024. He's not going to replace Arroyo from my view of him, watching him. I think he's more likely to replace what Riley Williams would have done this year. I like Riley Williams. I thought Riley was really talented. It didn't work out. But I think what Riley Williams is going to give you, I think Bowman can give you a lot of that. And if you're talking about the Arroyo production, that really spectacular tight end production, the guy that's going to give you that is going to be Elijah Lofton. Elijah Lofton is that guy, just a spectacular talent. To me, he's one of the best football players on the team already. You saw a flash of that in this bowl game, but he's better, I think, than even what we've seen running the ball, running routes, catching the ball, blocking, both in line and in motion, in space. This guy is just a phenomenal football player. And I think he's going to be, both him and Schrader, to me, are not just going to have an increased role next year, but I think they should be centerpieces of this offense next year. You can bring in guys from the portal, and you will, but there's a reason you recruit these great players, is to make them the stars of college football. And I think these two are guys you really got to feature and bank on being stars at this level.
Yeah, without a doubt. I think you still need to add another receiver as well. But
yep,
excited about those guys. Yeah,
man. So also, listen, you see, I got the sweater on. If it's getting cold where you're at, Miami Hurricane Team Store, MiamiHTS.com. You can go to the store in person right across the street from the University of Miami on South Dixie Highway next to the Thesis Hotel, or you can go online, MiamiHTS.com. Use promo code INSIGHT20. You get 20% off your first item. Again, that's both in person and on store. In person, they got a button that says Canes Insight at the cashier. So just say Canes Insight. They'll give you that 20% off discount. And if you go online, just write the promo code and it'll take care of you. So,
saw the goat Harry out there at the game, D.
Yeah, saw Harry Rothwell. He was wearing a fishing shirt. He was trying to be incognito. He didn't be swarmed by fans. But yeah, man, you got the Cam Ward jersey, the plenty of stuff for your winter holidays. And, maybe you didn't get the Christmas present you wanted, to get yourself a Christmas present. You're buying stuff for everybody else.
Guys, remember to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel as well. We had almost 1,400 on right now and over 1,000 for most of the show. So appreciate the support as always.
Yes, sir. We'll be on tomorrow. Go Canes.
Are you back? Are you back in studio tomorrow, D? Or are you?
No, I won't be back until I'll be out here in Hawthorne, Florida, until the new year ends. So I saw some bald eagles a second ago. Caught a nice bass. When we arrived yesterday, going to get out there today. Then I hit the Silver Springs. Going to check out the monkeys and the manatees out there. That's today.
Weren't you whale watching when Miami landed Cam Ward?
No.
No.
That was a different time. No, but yeah, Cam Ward. I was out of we usually take a trip this time of year, so I was in the Virgin Islands when Cam Ward said he was going to NFL, because that was around this time last year. So it shows you around this time last year, Cam Ward was going to the NFL. Poppenbarger was kind of in the picture. A lot can change in a year. Hopefully, a lot can change in a month.
In a couple weeks, yeah.
Yeah, on the quarterback and the defensive side, there's a lot of work to do, man. A lot of work to do. By the way, if you're a college football fan in general, trying to keep up with transactions, group chat sports, something me and Pete have been doing daily, where we're talking about Canes, not Canes related stuff, just general college football, portal stuff, recruiting, just all the transactions that happen day to day. We keep you up to date. So we just recorded this morning and put out a couple of videos on UNLV, Oklahoma State.
We actually did an in-depth video here on Gronowski. So if you guys, it was about an 8-minute video. So if you want to check that out, we really broke him down in depth. And then we also talked Notre Dame's QB situation. Like I said, Miami has them, game 2 next year, right? Or is that game 1? Is that the
Game
opener?
1.
Game one. Yeah. So first time starter, most likely it looks like at Notre Dame for that one. So should be interesting, man.
Yes, sir. All right, very appreciate everybody joining us. Remember to like and subscribe to this show. Like and subscribe to the group chat if you can. Support us, even if you're not going to watch, man. Those things help. So appreciate everybody, and go Canes.
Go Canes.